Here we're going to talk about even and odd, I almost wrote a theta there, identities. Okay, so this might make a lot of sense to you, but maybe not. So let's just see what happens here. If I look at the unit circle and an angle theta, the x-coordinate's cosine theta and the y-coordinate's sine theta. Now, if I look at this, so this is theta up here. I'll have the same reference angle theta, but since I'm going clockwise for this, I'll probably say it's negative theta. So this gives cosine negative theta here and sine negative theta at that point. But we can see that cosine a negative theta is the same as cosine theta. So they have the same x-coordinate at that point. And we can see that this y-coordinate, where a theta, is the opposite of the y-coordinate at negative theta. So we can see that sine of negative theta is the opposite. This y-coordinate is the opposite. I mean, it goes the opposite direction, has a negative in front of the y-coordinate up here. So this is an even, and this is an odd. So the even identities are that cosine negative theta is equal to cosine theta. That's an even function. Because an even function means when you put in negative of the variable or negative the input, it's the same thing as putting just the regular input without that negative. If you take the reciprocal, it shouldn't change anything, and the reciprocal is secant. Okay, for the odd, we already wrote down that sine of negative theta is equal to negative sine theta. If we take the reciprocal, I'll get cosecant. And then if you divide these sine theta divided by cosine theta, I get tangent negative theta. So sine of negative theta divided by cosine negative theta gives me tangent negative theta. Dividing over here, I get sine divided by cosine, which is tangent, and a negative divided by positive. So it turns out tangent's also an odd function. And then if you do the reciprocal of that, that's cotangent, and so that also is an odd function. So the only two even functions are cosine and secant. So for example, if cosine of theta is equal to 5/13, what is cosine of negative theta? The answer, cosine negative theta is the same as cosine theta, and that's also 5/13.